What time, 5 o'clock? Thanks. Whenever you're ready.
Okay, ready.
Okay.
Recording?
Yes.
Okay, good evening. I'm Bernard Green, Chair of the Brookline Select Board, and this is the meeting of the Select Board for May 23rd, 2023. We're going to be going into executive session in just a second. We'll be going to executive session for purposes of collective bargaining because a open meeting would compromise the board's position with respect to the bargaining issues. We'll also going to be going into executive session for the purpose of approving executive session meeting minutes for May 9 and May 16. After executive session, we will return to open session about 5 o'clock. All in favor of going into executive session, please indicate by saying aye. Mike, John, I'm sorry.
Aye.
Miriam,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
and Chair votes aye.
Okay, for those of you who are in the attendee list, I'm just gonna have to ask you to leave and join us again at 5 o'clock.
Devin, did you get my voicemail by the way?
I was gonna text you. I was running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Thank you.
Okay, just as long as you had that heads up.
I did. Thank you for the heads up. And I'm just gonna ask folks in the attendee list one more time to please voluntarily leave the meeting. If I do have to remove you, you will not be able to rejoin with this email address, and you'll need to register using a secondary email address. Okay, everyone's gone. Now I have to go to the bathroom off the meeting.
Oh. that's-
The webinar is
Are we going live?
we are.
Okay, good evening. This is Bernard Green, Chair of the Brookline Select Board, and this is the meeting of the Select Board for May 23rd, 2023. Let's start off with any updates, comments, reports of the Select Board. No?
Ricky,
Okay.
a reminder, Memorial Day observances
Yeah.
this coming Saturday. Am I correct on that? I hope I'm.
Yeah.
It's Monday.
Monday, actually,
Yeah.
of course.
Memorial Day, so.
And I said, okay, right?
Yes. I know that several of us, if not all of us on this board, have attended, and often it's by year attendance. And it's well worth people considering attending if especially if they have not attended it in the past. There is a group of folks and Bill McGordy, our veterans director, is among them and sort of in the lead among them, who are really keeping the flame alive for observances of these types that honor those who sacrifice their lives for our country in service to their country. And it's an event that has affected me in years when I attended it, and I hope that others will open themselves up to the possibility it might affect them, and give them a people appreciation of what is being honored on that day. So thank you for just allowing me to make note of that for folks who might not be thinking about it right now, but might want to put it in their plans.
I would say that a lot of people who we don't see on a regular basis attend that, and they appreciate greatly participation by select board members. Any other update comments? Okay, public comment. Devin? I'm
Shall I
sorry.
do the intro?
Yeah, give the intro.
Sorry. Good. Thanks to all who are going to join us for this public comment and opportunity for us to hear from your perspective on the issues in Brookline that matter to you. We have a few rules. Each person speaking tonight is limited to 3 minutes. You don't need to use the entire time, but you may if you like. We encourage you to refrain from personal attacks and from addressing personnel issues during your comments. Members of the public sometimes raise questions, and we may be able to provide a quick answer, but are more likely to work with staff to get a more thorough answer and respond to the email. And we'll let you know when you have 30 seconds remaining. If your time is up, please conclude your remarks at that time. If you have more to say, you're welcome to send an email to board members expressing your thoughts in greater detail. And Devin, who's first on our list?
At this time, there are 10 virtual attendees and 2 in person. Did either of you want to make a public comment? Susan, you can go ahead.
Okay. Where is the camera?
Right here.
Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Susan Park, Chair of Yes on 3 and Town Meeting Member from Precinct 17. I'm here asking you to stay the course and vote no action on warrant Article 17's amended language for one license. Advisory Committee last night decided not to revote because this amendment was already made and voted down by AC from a few weeks ago. To reiterate the stats on ballot question 3, question 3 won overwhelmingly on May 2nd with 7,558 yes votes and 4,754 no votes. With this win, the cap has been posted on May 12th and is now in effect as law. Town Council has made it very clear they are still not worried about a lawsuit winning. There was some misinformation on the AC report that was retracted and another report will be posted. What we have found is this. Again, the regulations for Chapter 180 will not be issued until November of 2023, and there's no way of knowing whether or not Brookline's current efforts meet the new procedures and policies to support social equity standards. So the final regulations may show that Brookline is in full compliance, so we don't want to make any decisions based on speculation. Even if under the future regs, there is some future finding that we are not in compliance, Chapter 180 regs cannot compel municipalities to issue or create any new licenses. For all these reasons, please vote no action on warrant Article 17's amended language for one license. Now back to the vote from May 2nd. May 2nd, there was a turnout with the highest turnout in town election in the past 15 years. And the turnout of over 12,000 voters was a 30.1% turnout rate, nearly twice the average turnout of the previous 14 town elections. The people voted, and I hope you will stay the course from the way you voted before. Because Yes on 3 won by 61.5%, which is a 23% margin. It was one of the highest margins of any contested ballot question in town in many years. And for many years, the select board's reason to issue more licenses was because of the 2016 vote, and 61% of Brookline voted to legalize cannabis. But now that we know that 61.5% of Brookline won a cap, they have spoken, so please vote no action on the amended warrant Article 17. And again, we won by 2,804 votes. So I hope, did you say 30 seconds? Okay. So I hope you tonight will continue the course and vote the same way you did last week and vote no on warrant Article 17. Thank you for your time.
Virginia, did you have a comment? I'm going to promote Perry Grossman. Hi, Perry, you've been promoted to a panelist. You can unmute and share your video if you're comfortable. Your 3 minutes will begin.
Okay, great. Thank you. Perry Grossman, precinct town meeting member, precinct 5. I have kids at Lincoln and the high school. I'm on the bicycle advisory committee and Safe Routes to School. I'm actually speaking in favor of warrant Article 17 because I believe it supports market competition and equity opportunities. Section 11 of an act relative to equity in the cannabis industry states that host communities shall promote and encourage full participation in the regulated marijuana industry by people from communities that have been disproportionately harmed by marijuana prohibition and enforcement. And I think Brookline should try to be a leader in equity and support this state law. Now, yeah, many people will point to the recent vote, and I think it is important to consider that. But it's also important to consider how it was framed. Warrant Article 15 was framed in the fall as a element of democracy. But we need to think about the elements of equity and the opportunities in this marketplace. So thank you for considering that.
The next person signed up for public comment is Wagner Oji. You've been promoted to a panelist. You can unmute and share your video if you're comfortable, and your 3 minutes will begin.
Good evening. My name is Wagner Oje. I am a town meeting member for Precinct 15. I'm here tonight to encourage the select board to vote no recommendation on warrant article 17. Just like the select board voted last week, there's nothing new. The voters spoke clearly, overwhelmingly. In my precinct 15, the vote was 611 versus 255. It was a clear message that the voters sent out to everyone. They do not want any more cannabis storefront. With regard to equity, I am all about equity. Let's talk about equity. What about equity on our educational system? What about equity in contracts? The town of Brookline has a total of $404 million revenue and spent on contract for services. Let's talk about that. Why don't we find a way so that we can have equity in those contracts? Why don't we talk about equity in our educational system? Just we're talking about equity for cannabis. It's gonna benefit one person, and I'm all about equity. What about our little brown kids, black and brown, that come in through the system? Why don't we discuss that? What about law enforcement? Let's look at the law enforcement activities, encounter with people of color. Why don't we talk about equity in that regard? So if we want to talk about equity, please join me to talk about equity in contract, in law enforcement, in education. I will join you. I will do whatever I can to support that proposal. But right now, the voters, they spoke. They say enough is enough. We don't need any more. We should respect the will of the voter. Thank you.
I'm promoting Jane Doe. Hi, Jane, you've been promoted to a panelist. You can unmute and share your video if you're comfortable, and your 3 minutes will begin.
Hello, I'm a journalist for Black and Brown News. I'm here to clear up a lot of misinformation that's been going around, and to the town meeting members that have been perpetuating this misinformation and harassment. We will be writing about you in our next article with a slew of your false and harassing emails that have been submitted to BNBN. Black and Brown News, also known as BNBN, is not Black and Brown Club, also known as BNBC. We are a team of independent investigative journalists that have taken an interest in the corruption in Brookline and how it affects the Black and Brown community. BNBC is one of our sponsors. BNBC sponsored BNBN by giving us access to their Canva so that we may use the full range of premium features that they have access to. We did not have access to these features with the free trial. BNBC graciously allows us to use their account on this media, creating and editing platform for our newsletter, among other media content. Thank you, Black and Brown News.
The next person raising their hand for public comment is Jennifer Doe. Jennifer, you've been promoted to a panelist. You can unmute and share your video if you're comfortable, and your 3 minutes will begin.
Hello, I am the editor-in-chief for Black and Brown News. I wanted to reaffirm exactly what one of our journalists who just spoke said. BNBN is not BNBC. BNBC simply sponsors BNBN by allowing us to use paid content creation and editing software such as Canva. Our content is ours and ours alone. BNBN's team of investigators, journalists, writers, and editors have come together to bring news to the community at great risk to ourselves, a burden we were ready to carry. However, BNBC has been unjustly caught in the crossfire. This attack on BNBC staff only proves our point correct. There is an unfair bias against these community leaders, a bias that led town officials to attack local leaders that had no part in the writing of this newsletter. I am disgusted at the overt racism you all have displayed. Not one email was received by BNBN asking if BNBC staff were involved in the writing of this newsletter. We would have been happy to clarify that BNBC is not a part of BNBN. No member of BNBC personnel is affiliated with BNBN. I am so sorry to those BNBC staff that were targeted for the pain that this town has attempted to inflict upon you because of our newsletter, exposing the truth of their schemes. But I must say, I am also glad that this has happened because this is irrefutable evidence that the town and its officials would jump at any opportunity to crucify and bury BNBC and any other organization or person attempting to shed light on the truth. Truth will always come out. I would focus on getting your own ducks in a row before attacking others because our team of journalists have many new names to look into. I encourage those town meeting members, we know your names, and others that have been spreading false information in an attempt to stop the creation of the Black and Brown Commission, something never before seen in Brookline, to continue to do so. Let the world see Brookline for what it truly is, a town that at its very core would rather eat its own tail in self-destruction than allow Black and Brown people to shape their own futures for the better. Thank you, BNBN.
At this time, there are 2 in-person attendees and 11 virtual attendees. I did receive a written public comment that I will read into the record now, and I am tagging myself. I said I would refrain from making additional public comments regarding this matter, but I must speak out. Today, I would like to express my deep concerns regarding warrant Article 19, which proposes the establishment of a Black and Brown Commission. While I believe passionately in the need for a Black and Brown Commission similar to the Brookline Commission on Women to foster inclusivity and equity within our community, I urge you not to support this warrant article. Over the past year, I have personally and professionally experienced and witnessed ongoing harassment and abuse from the individuals associated with this organization. Their actions extend beyond private interactions that have impacted members of our town government, organizations, and businesses, and specifically targeted Black and Brown people, including myself. With a heavy heart, I bring to your attention the latest example of this group's disturbing pattern of abusive behavior. On Friday, this group targeted me and other members of the BIPOC community through a distressing newsletter. Those targeted included Kimberly Richardson and Deborah Brown, 2 of our community's most essential and respected Black women. This malicious newsletter published stolen photos of me from my jobs website and disturbingly used them overlaying jail bars on the pictures and encouraging vigilante actions against us. In total, 5 outstanding and influential BIPOC community leaders were targeted. This deeply dehumanizing and dangerous behavior has created an atmosphere of fear and insecurity for myself and many others, silencing those who oppose them. The hate this group spreads as they air their harmful ideologies perpetrates an environment of intolerance. Everyone who cares about social justice should unite against such hatred and instead create a community that embodies diversity, inclusivity, and respect for all. Approving this warrant article enables and enforces this continued misconduct. These individuals lack the necessary qualities and temperament to perform the duties required by the commission they wish to establish. Their nasty tempers, aggressive behavior, misogyny, and internalized racism profoundly concern our community's well-being. You are dedicated public servants. I implore you to thoroughly consider the consequences of supporting this warrant article. The recent attacks on town council members, valuable community leaders of color, and myself are unacceptable. Brookline cannot continue to enable and empower individuals who engage in such hurtful, hateful actions as it undermines the principles of justice, safety, and respect our community should uphold. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Zaria Karkashian Jones. No one is using the hand raise or Q&A feature to indicate they'd like to make a comment.
Okay, let's get into our meeting. Miscellaneous items. First is approval of the minutes from May 16, 2023. Any edits or corrections? Chad.
Okay, I just wanted to follow up on those public comments.
Oh, okay.
I want to thank Daria for her comment there and obviously just indicate the community and the team sympathy. We've always been excellent partners with BCF, and to hear that an individual who has worked tirelessly for the benefit of the community has been repeatedly attacked in this way and feels, you can hear in her statement just how visceral that damage she has taken is really just gutting. And so I want to make clear that we are a vibrant political community. There's room for strenuous disagreement. There's room to be rude to elected officials. There is room to be angry at elected officials and express that anger in very heightened ways. There is no issue with the use of heightened speech, provided it is not a direct incitement to violence. Where there is an issue is in attacking private citizens and in behaving in manners that violate the town of Brookline's and federal, and potentially federal and state anti-discrimination law. There is conditions in the ARPA riders, every ARPA recipient, that they not break those laws. And if any organization is found to have broken those laws, they will not receive ARPA funding, period. I am frankly a little flustered and being confused by this argument that by anonymous people that this news organization is not in some way related to this other organization. Okay, anonymous individuals, given the information that we have, it certainly seemed that you had stated you're sponsored by one organization, this organization. You use their software, which they let you use. You publish a document that is now the subject of this concern, using their resources. It is a message that has been authorized and sponsored by this organization. What did you think was going to happen? What do you think you're going to accomplish? Do you think you can hide behind this ridiculous argument of a corporate veil? It's not going to happen. We need to be very, very cautious about anti-discrimination law, and we will be taking a hard look at that. Thank you.
Okay, we're not in public comment, but I'll let Susan Park speak briefly, very briefly.
Thank you, Bernard. My name is Susan Park again. I'm a town meeting member from precinct 17, and I will say that because of question 3 and everything, you know, our success and winning, I too got a threatening email. It was threatening, it was disturbing, and this will not be tolerated. And I remember during the AAPI hate crimes, Brookline made a declaration saying that they will not tolerate that kind of behavior. So for the record, I just wanted to put that out there, that harassment, threatening emails, it will not be tolerated. Thank you.
Let me just add that let's not give them too much oxygen on board. Okay. You know, one of the problems we have here in Massachusetts is next to Texas and the most hate incidents in the country. So, you know, we're sort of in the middle of that field, and we just have to be careful how we respond to it. You know, hate on the right is really no different than hate on whatever side, you know, some other groups are on. And as I've always said, hate is indivisible. But, you know, let's not give them too much oxygen. Okay, moving on. Question of approving the minutes from May 16, 2023. We didn't vote on that, but I did mention it. Any updates, corrections? No. I move approval of May 16, 2023 minutes. All in favor? John?
Aye.
Marion's not here. Mike?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Next, we have a bunch of miscellaneous items, and I'll go through them just for the record, but quickly. We have a question about application of to designate Brookline as an age-friendly community by the Council on Aging. 2 authorizations to hire request, a community health manager in the Health and Human Services Department, and a civil engineer in DPW. Question of approving a donation from Arts Brookline in the amount of $2,000 to support the work of the Brookline Commission for the Arts, I believe that is. Question of approving 3 extra work orders, one for snow work in the amount of $13,517, one for upkeep of trees in the amount of $32,837.50. And finally, one for school ground maintenance in the amount of $5,380. We have a question of a temporary all alcohol beverages sales license to Karen Hassenfuss at Laura Anderson Auto Museum for a birthday party. Also a temporary wine and malt beverages sales license to Hive LLC for the Brookline Coolidge Corner Arts Festival to be held June 3rd, 2023. Everyone should go there or attend. And that's the end of our miscellaneous items. Any questions or, yes?
I have one question for the town administrator, with respect to the assistant civil engineer who has, the reason for leaving is a position with another community. This is more of a process data collection question. I don't need much of an explanation right now, but are we capturing the next level of detail as to why they're leaving? Is it dissatisfaction, compensation, opportunities for growth?
Yes, I know Commissioner Gallantyne has been working really hard to get that next level of information, determine where it is, not just, that they are leaving for other opportunities, but in the exit interview, why.
And are we doing that across all positions within the town, or is it kind of?
It's been department by department, but we've been encouraging that increase in data collection. Devin, you say right after?
Do you want the specifics on this position?
No, I just wanted to ask the question, are we collecting data across all departments as to why employees are turning over? As part of an exit interview, and are we collecting those statistics to help inform what we're doing going forward for employee retention?
Yes, I mean, our human resources director is here. She told me that we're in the process of formalizing that. It has historically been a department by department process. Now that we are staffing up the human resources division, we want to make sure that that is standardized across departments.
I think that's a great idea. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor of the miscellaneous items, please indicate by saying aye. John?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Next, I see Chief Pastors here. Good evening. We have a police promotions and authorization to hire request items. First, authorization to hire one provisional lieutenant and one civil service sergeant in the police department. And secondly, approval of promotions for Sergeant Alan Gusty to the rank of lieutenant and Officer David Chung to the rank of sergeant. Chief Pastor, you want to tell us about this?
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me and for taking these items under consideration. These names that I'll read before you I'm asking you to promote them. The vacancies were created upon the retirement of Lieutenant John Canny back in March. So the provisional lieutenant's position has been vacant since then. Thank you to Lieutenant Hayes, who has been filling in while still tending to his other duties. So Sergeant Alan Gusty, I'm asking to have him promoted to rank of lieutenant, and that's provisional. Which just means that our department has exhausted our civil service list for the rank of lieutenant. So Mass General Law, Chapter 31, Section 15 allows me to provisionally promote a permanent employee in the next lower rank. So we had anybody with a year in rank of sergeant that was interested submit their names. We conducted interviews. Sergeant Alan Gusty has been a member of our department since 2006. He has experience in working in 3 out of the 4 operational divisions, so patrol, detectives, and community service. He's held the rank of sergeant since October of 2019. He served honorably as a street supervisor, and he's filled in as the commanding officer as needed, most recently on the overnight shift. Sergeant Gusty has volunteered for various additional responsibilities during his career. He's an MPTC certified firearms instructor, a team leader of the department's special response team, and a member of our honor guard. Sergeant Gusty holds a bachelor's degree in public administration from Miami University and a master's from Curry in criminal justice. Next, Officer David Chung for promotion to the rank of sergeant. Officer David Chung has been a member of our department since 2005. For 7 years, he worked as the department's animal control officer. In that time, he enhanced the functionality and efficiency of that role by reviewing past procedures and introducing new protocols and best practices to his fellow officers with regard to animal-related calls. In addition to fulfilling many of those obligations and opportunities, Officer Chung made himself available to assist patrol with calls for service and assignments outside of his assigned scope of work, earning the respect of his peers and demonstrating his commitment to the town and to our department. Officer Chung holds a bachelor's from UMass and a master's degree from Curry College, also in criminal justice, and he's fluent in Cantonese.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? I know many of us have had Patrol Officer Chung come in and get rid of bats and other animals in our homes. We appreciate that.
He's good with people as well.
Right. Very good with people. Okay, any other questions? If not, I'll move approval of the authorization to hire request and the promotion as indicated by Chief Pastor. All in favor? John?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Thank you.
If I could actually clarify one point.
Okay.
So the authorization to hire is actually an additional request. This authorization to hire was approved, I believe, back in March, early April. Lieutenant Amendola has since left us to become the chief of the Carlisle Police Department. So this authorization to hire request that's in front of you tonight is to fill the vacancies left by his promotion out there in Carlisle.
So they're separate items.
Correct.
It's fine. They vote them together.
Yeah, it's fine if we voted them together.
Very good. Thank you all.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay, next, warrant articles. Oh, fun part of the meeting. Further review and possible reconsideration or vote on the warrant article for 2023 annual town meetings. Warrant article 2, approval of collective bargaining agreements. We discussed this in executive session, and unless there's any further discussion, I'd like to call vote.
I just want to briefly maybe read it to the record, what we're talking about, the fire.
Oh, okay. This is approval of a negotiated agreement with the fire union for years 2021,
2022 to 2024, fiscal year 22 through 24.
Right.
It's a 3-year deal. So we'll go through the next fiscal year, which will be the subject of not only retroactive, but part of this budget as well, which is why we moved the budget back and we're dealing with all these issues. This is the recommendation was to the fire union, which we thank for, the firefighters union, which we thank for their diligent negotiations on this, has authorized us to share that decision. They will be taking it to their membership this week, pending their approval and your approval, and then town meeting's approval will become the operative contract for the next fiscal year. It contains a number of, of good housekeeping policies in addition to substantial raises for the firefighters, including back pay. It includes, for the first time, the ability to rely on merit in some instances in assessing candidates for promotion to captain and deputy chief, which is a huge benefit and one that we have not had in the past. It corrects a number of issues regarding the chief's ability to ensure general orders are issued and maintained as the highest level of policy, to correct issues regarding injury on duty use, to ensure that the use of deputy chief's vacation time is included in the count of who's absent on any given day. A lot of this is just really excellent quality of life stuff that the bargaining team over the course of years really hammered out through individual agreements before coming to this point. So I want to congratulate the bargaining team, Michael Downey, Ann Braga, Jen Stallion, Melissa Goff, the whole team, and the folks who came in even towards the end of the process, like Charlie Young, who have been crunching the numbers and really pulling this across the finish line. So thank you to the bargaining team. Thank you to the union. The other aspect of Article 2 that we're asking you to revisit is the funding for the police contract. We believe after discussions internally that it's important for you to vote through full funding for the police contract to bring you in line with the advisory committee position on this. So in voting, in reopening Article 2, we would ask you to approve the fire union contract and approve the full amount of the JLMC award for the police. And the rationale behind this is, we think it's just the most prudent course of action as we continue to contest this issue with posts. It also allows us more flexibility in negotiating with the union to ensure that we might come to some alternative arrangement on that front, which is our hope. So we just ask that you reopen that tool and authorize that full amount to bring you into line with the advisory committee on that front.
Okay, so if we have to reopen warrant Article 2. So I move that we reopen warrant Article 2 to make these adjustments. All in favor, John?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. So I move, why don't we do them separately? I move approval of the fire union contract negotiated between the town and the fire union. All in favor, John?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Next, I move approval of the decision by the Joint Labor Management Committee with respect to the police contract for the full amount of that award, reserving the right, reserving our option to challenge the connection of certain amount of that to the post-commission or giving a post-commission stipend. But otherwise, the full amount of the award we're approving. All in favor, John?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. Okay, warrant Article 7, annual budget appropriations. How are we dealing with that?
We'll have a memo for you in your packets for tomorrow.
Okay.
Now that you've approved these additional contracts, there is obviously additional things that we need to approve to balance out to get into budget. So we'll provide recommendations to you through the meeting tomorrow.
Okay. Warrant Article 13, create a new Article 3.12A of the town's general bylaws to establish an Office of Housing Stability. We already dealt with that and decided to refer that to the town administrator. If you recall, is there any desire to reopen that warrant article?
I would like to speak about that.
Sure.
I spent a considerable amount of time speaking with the petitioner yesterday. And I believe that C2NS is reconsidering their recommendation on Thursday, I believe, Thursday morning at 8 a.m. I think is the invite. I don't know if that news got out. So what I would like to do is have us table reconsideration, but leave it as an option. Should the petitioner and C2NS come to some level of consensus on what might be the
Okay. Article 15. Amend Article 5.9 of the town's general bylaws to clarify and update votes previously taken regarding the stretch code and specialized energy code and add fossil fuel free restrictions in accordance with Mass Department of Energy Resources demonstration project. You want to? We've been with this for quite a while.
Yes, it doesn't get any less complicated, unfortunately. This is quick movement on these things means that there's a lot of ping pong in regulations. And again, DOER has been tasked with implementing these new building codes, has not historically developed building codes. So they're sometimes as in the dark as we are with this stuff. So initially there is a proposal on the table. The proposed language here was developed by the town based on model language by DOER. We were subsequently told that some of that language needs to be just needs to be the model language. It can't be changed. And that any additional changes, deviations from the model language will require approval by DOER. They really want to standardize this pilot. They do not want 10 towns to have 10 substantially different building codes that all try to accomplish the same thing. So, one of the big issues that was in here was, what's the definition of significant change, right? How do we define when this building code applies to, for example, a 2-unit structure when you're renovating, you know, 1 unit plus a space, a part of the common area, does that trigger the 51% requirement? So a lot of time spent in advisory committee and elsewhere planning, trying to figure out how to square that circle and make sure that we had some clarity on that front. And what DOER has said, my understanding is that no, you certainly can't change the definitions that we've set out. And there's still some open discussion as to whether or not you can change meaningfully the text of the proposed model bylaw. Certainly, they've said is that if you want to change the text of the proposed bylaw, it's got to be approved by us first. So the current emphasis, I believe, although I'm thinking of the building commissioner, unfortunately not here, was that we're going to try and go back to the original model bylaw rather than use the language that we have that we developed.
So what we had come, I think last week, I think it was last time, it goes by so quickly.
Yeah.
We had the petitioner bring a revised warrant article to us, and we reconsidered the prior.
Right.
And I think it was trying to deal with this issue of building versus unit and 51%.
Right.
Are you saying now that there's guidance to actually revert back to the original language that makes this issue confusing?
Yes, yes.
Okay, are we ready to do that?
No, I would want the building commissioner here to explain this in more details. I just want to give you an update on where we are on this. So when he's unfortunately ill, so I want to make sure that he's here to talk in more detail about this.
Okay.
But I want to give you the overview of where we are and why we are where we are. I don't think it's. I think the concern there was not so much risk as confusion, right? There's this issue of right, the 51% and all those things. So I want to make sure that we have an understanding of what the limits of our authority are to kind of work collaboratively with the state to develop a version of this, because the state really wants as much as possible.
But if we just ask briefly,
Yeah.
we can wait for the building. So if we're not allowed to change it, and we have to wait for the DOER
Yeah.
to change it,
Yeah.
can we adopt something at town meeting before there's a standardization process?
You could adopt something. The question is whether or not the state will accept it. The state may tell you, come back, no, come back in November, and then, or call a special town meeting and fix it. That's the risk.
So we can approve what we have, and then the Attorney General in collaboration may say,
Right.
no good, come back in November.
Right, and then, we want to make sure that we're being good partners with DOER on this, given how, candidly, how stressed they are. They're under a lot of pressure with this pilot coming so soon on the heels of the specialized building code. They've been tasked, really, Brookline's been the leader on this, right? It's been pushing the state to move in this direction, and now that the legislature has agreed and made this push in the last 2 years, we've had 3 different substantial changes to building codes, and this will be the 3rd. So we just want to make sure that whatever recommendation we make to you on language to adopt is language the community is comfortable with and the DOER is comfortable.
So moving on to the final warrant article. Susan, we're ready here. Kidding. Warrant article 17. Amend Article 8.37.2 of the town's general bylaws to change marijuana to cannabis and to permit 2 additional storefront cannabis retailers licenses for equity applicants. My recollection is that either last week or week before last, we voted the advisory committee amendment, which kept the change of marijuana to cannabis, but did not add any additional licenses.
Correct.
Is there any desire to reopen that?
At the time, when we had the review, we knew the petitioner was going to file a motion, but we didn't have it. Now the petitioner motion has been filed, that's supplement 1, where they provide for 1 additional license for everything. So if the board wanted to reconsider, that would be the motion that you put.
And did the advisory committee approve that?
I don't believe that.
Yeah, they did not move from their original recommendation.
Any desire to
They
reopen?
didn't take it up.
No, they took it up and they said, we're not changing. We're not going to take a vote yes or no on this motion. I believe they just said, we're happy with where we are.
So forgive me, does that mean that they are at still 2 additional?
No, they are at zero.
Oh, they are at zero.
Change marijuana to cannabis, but otherwise zero new licenses.
Exactly where we are. Okay, any desire to reopen this?
Reopen it based on our,
To consider the amended warrant article from the petitioner, which would add 1 additional license.
yeah, I would like to have an opportunity to go for that.
Okay, let's vote on whether to reopen this warrant article. All in favor of reopening Article 17? John?
Aye.
Mike?
Well, as a courtesy, vote to reopen it, I don't have to vote for the change.
Okay, well.
No.
No. And as a courtesy, I'll reopen it too. So we'll reopen it, and now the question is whether we are going to support the petitioner's revised amendment or revised warrant article, which would add 1 cannabis store to the available licenses. Any discussion of that? No? All in favor, John? All in favor of adopting the petitioner's revised warrant article?
Aye.
Mike?
No.
Paul?
No.
And chair votes no. Okay. Next, select board committee assignments. So I do not have my computer, because I don't have electrical outlet. So, from memory, Devin and I went through the list of committee assignments, identified those committees that require a select board member, and those committees that were on our list, but are committees of other organizations like the advisory or the moderator. And she can pull it up. And this is actually a preliminary list, but I wanted to get this started.
The
So this is-
Excel version would be really better. That's the whole formatting got goofed up on this.
Wait,
The matrix is a lot easier to follow.
Now you can see the back end of our operation.
Well, we've been able to see that for a while.
Yeah, went into the word, the PDF on it, all the table.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so this is the list that Devin and I came up with. And we've gotten some comments from people. We made any changes? Okay, so this is,
I have one question.
yeah,
I'm assigned to the with the Small Business Development Committee. I'm not, okay, so you switched that. Because I was,
That was a clerical error.
okay, that's fine, because I know that John was interested in that, and I was surprised to see my name there. Yeah, but.
any other comments or questions or complaints?
The only question I have is, how chiseled into stone is this for how long? If there
Chiseled
is-
into butter. Okay. If people want to switch committees, one can't do. And the issue, and there are a couple there that I think we need to revisit in the next couple of months, but this is a start. I just want to make sure that we cleaned up the assignment list. The fact that you're new on the board and Heather's no longer here.
Yes,
And
and I understand that I'm the recipient as the new guy,
yeah.
the new person.
Well, you haven't actually got the short end of the stick.
Yeah.
Not yet, yeah.
Does this speak to the question of whether, of the council partnership assignments?
No, we still have me and Mike as that. But I think that is one assignment I'd like to revisit over the next few weeks. But I don't want to do it right now.
Yeah, fine.
Any other discussion? Okay, so I move approval of the select board committee assignments. All in favor, John?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Paul?
Aye.
And chair votes aye. And so ends our meeting. May 23rd, 2023.
See you.
Now we go to our next meeting.
See if it all works.
Okay, thank you.